First item is quality score. So in an ideal world, quality score would be perfect because from an efficiency standpoint, it's going to help your business in a number of ways. So, here for quality score, we have some data provided by WordStream. It's not a linear relationship where the higher your quality score, you're going to get X, Y, Z for your cost per click. So generally, yes, your cost per click does go down. And generally, because of that, also, your cost per conversion is going to go down generally, and also your impression share will go up. But why is that? Why the emphasis on quality score? Well, remember, people go to Google for answers, and if you can't find what you're looking for, that's not as good of a user experience as Google would like. So they're optimizing really for that user experience for the user. And then also, secondly, of course, monetizing that that traffic and helping people find what they're looking for. So quality score, again, it's not linear per se. There's some other there's many factors at play here. There's also the normalization factor that depending on where your ad shows. If you're in the first position, Google's going to expect a higher click-through rate than if you're in the bottom position. So it's something to think about. Think of quality score as a guiding metric, almost like a micro conversion. And we like to think of it as a great way to scale. So if you have campaigns that are your top performing campaigns, okay, dive into the quality score there, see how you can get even more efficient. When it comes to the three components of quality score, are people likely to click on your ad? How relevant is your ad to your query? And then also the landing page experience. A more advanced fact here about quality score, it's created and derived from the search term, not the keyword. The keyword is the input. The search term is the output. The search term is what the user actually searches. That's where the quality score comes from. So tightening up your account structure can really help there. So what does Google Ads not track? Well, they do track these items, but they don't make them readily available to the advertiser. So when it comes to the account quality score, you don't have optics into that, the campaign quality score, or even ad group quality score. And then also history. The history of your quality score at the keyword level is available to some degree in Google Ads, but it's a little clunky, and Optmyzr is an excellent way. So on the next slide, how Optmyzr essentially can provide all of this information for you as a great guiding metric. Also impressions by quality score. So here's some data. So I pulled two samples here, one for B2C and one for B2B. And I took a look at a range of our smaller spenders, medium spenders, and then the higher spenders over 200,000 a month. And I took a look here. So when the quality score ranges from 1 to 10. When the quality score was above 5, for B2C, from my sample set, the CPA was 16% lower for those keywords. But on the B2B side, for the same sample size, the CPA was actually worse. It was 9.3% higher for the B2B set for the non-brand keywords. So why is that? There are just so many factors at play here. Remember, it's just a guiding metric. It's not your North Star by any means. I have a hypothesis myself. Essentially, if you have a product or service that is very unique in the space, perhaps novel to some degree, it may be tough to align, your ad to your keyword, to your landing page, and get that expected click-through rate high enough. Google might not be, equipped to it because, the quality score is also generated by competition. How many people are searching for the keywords and how much space is available and all that. So wanted to mention that.
And part of what may be in play here too is once you get a higher quality score, you become eligible for a better position on the page. And even though you get a discount for the position that you would have had, now you jumped actually to a higher position which has more volume. But these are more expensive positions, and hence the CPA may actually be higher, but you may be making up for it with a tremendous amount of additional volume. So there's a lot of stuff in play, and I guess the core point, Tyler, is that if you forget about quality score, like your cost will go up, but you won't get any more leads, right? So things will be worse. So improving quality score, great thing, but it is not an automatic guarantee of actually paying less money.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Think of it as like your results will override your quality score any day of the week. But using the two in concert is the best situation. Next is, here's Optmyzr. So take a look here. So with the click of a finger, you can see your overall account quality score. You can see quality score broken down by your expected click-through rate, your ad relevance. And you can dive into the details at the keyword level. You can see the top movers. You can see your quality score over time. So if you're a small business and you're trying to find out, are you efficient? Are you getting the most out of Google Ads? Well, this is really a metric that you can track over time that makes sense to track over time too, in terms of the efficiencies that you're gaining and not gaining. So excellent tool, and later Fred's gonna talk about that. So what we've seen is that this combination, so Optmyzr plus the alpha beta campaign structure. So the alpha beta campaign structure, go ahead and Google it if you don't know what it is. It might be esoteric to some of you, but it's essentially just taking your top performing keywords and then housing them in their own campaign with the perfect ad copy and the perfect landing page for each keyword. And then you block those from the test campaigns. So you're continuing to mine for what works and what doesn't, and then you're focusing your budget over time on what does work. In combination with smart bidding, the three of these, we've seen the best results using all three of these together. They really are all complementary and can work together.
All right, and one thing that's nice about Optmyzr is there's the ability to quote unquote scag a keyword. That means we put it in a single keyword ad group. Scag means single keyword ad group. And that flows really nicely with the alpha beta structure. So typically you would take your most important keywords, make them an exact match in an ad group by themselves. And because they now live by themselves and they're very specifically as an exact match, you can put an ad text that is absolutely relevant to that one keyword. And like Tyler was saying, quality score sort of happens at the query level. But if you've limited the number of queries that Google can show this for by having an exact match keyword, it really does give you that control. So, and that's something you want to do for the head of your campaign for the biggest keywords. Obviously, you can't do that at scale that well, but you can get a lot of cost savings with SCAG and alpha beta.
Exactly. For example, you have a keyword. Let's say you're selling this purple water bottle. You have a keyword that's best purple water bottle. It's not doing well for whatever reason. And in the quality score tracker, you can actually see if it has a low quality score. With the click of a button, you can put that in a SCAG, in a single keyword ad group. So then you can go in and dive in and actually say, send this keyword to a different landing page, etc. So excellent tool there. Moving on, account auditing. So, this is one where, audits can be, from the person auditing can be, a sales tool, etc. And there's a lot of context lost, but think of an audit as an excellent way to check your best practices, and Optmyzr, you can do that really with the click of a finger and scan over 50 best practices instantly so that your marketer, can have just, a number of next steps for your ad account. So you can also, here's an example. You can see that for these ad groups here, ad groups with too few expanded text ads. So, the Google best practice really to have a bare minimum of 2 of these. You can also change the threshold depending on your methodology. Everybody does Google Ads differently. There's so much variance there. So excellent tool. So Fred's going to demo that later. Hour week bid adjustments. So when it comes to hour of week bid adjustments, it's a large variable in shopping behavior. It's when the user is actually searching and going through your ad. So really, there's a caveat here. So when it comes to ad scheduling, some bid strategies, the automated ones, override this bid adjustment. But there's still cases where you want to use it. So if you're a smaller business, you're just getting started and your account doesn't have a lot of data, well, you can start out on manual. Or if you have extreme user behavior differences where you really want to bid more at night for whatever reason, you can do that and roll it out across the board on every campaign down to the ad group level with the click of a finger, really in Optmyzr. Excellent tool there. Okay, so let's see. So next, here's the caveat. So this is hot off the press from Fred. This is really exciting. I remember being at SMX Advanced, which is up in Seattle. It's essentially some of the best search engine marketers sit in the same room and they, we're discussing things. It's a search conference, and you could ask, people the same. You could ask people at the conference, literally the speakers, how does smart bidding work with manual bid adjustments? And you're going to get different answers. So this is excellent that Fred put this together so that we can see which bid adjustment is actually eligible to even work or have an effect for every different type of smart bidding. So it's a big deal. And for example, with target CPA, you can see there that at the device level, if you actually do a negative 25% bid adjustment on mobile, that will actually drop your target CPA for mobile by 25%. So a little counterintuitive, but this is a really important chart. And Fred, you want to talk about this chart and the importance of it and why you published it?
Yeah, no, I think you just said it right. At SMX Advanced, you get different answers from different people. And even if you look at the Google Help materials, you get different answers within that. So we tried to put it together as best as we could using Google resources, talking to a number of Googlers. And I guarantee you this is not 100% perfect because even Google can't give you that perfection. But it's as good as we have right now to help us understand when we're wasting time setting bid adjustment. And this is what Tyler is saying, right? Like, don't go and set geo bid adjustments if you're using target CPA strategy, because Google will let you set them, but then they will completely ignore your settings, right? So you've just wasted a bunch of work that does no good. So that's the purpose of this.
Very pragmatic, Fred, for any SEM marketer. I'm just going to say that right here. Quite the lifesaver. Next, we have bid adjustments by device. So referring back to the chart here, if you look at device, well, it can affect target CPA, enhanced CPC, max clicks, and a couple of other ones. Device is obviously a big variable. User experience is quite different on device. Well, Optmyzr has a tool for this. So again, when you're using manual bidding or the other bid strategies like max clicks, go ahead and scan this data. And Optmyzr will let you know if it recommends a bid adjustment or not, depending on data significance and depending on what the results are. So excellent tool where appropriate. One thing I wanted to mention is if you are not using the Google Ads pixel, that is, you're just using the Google Analytics pixel, you may not be tracking cross-device conversions correctly or at all. Cross-device conversions is, if I search for a purple water bottle on my phone and then go home on my desktop and convert on desktop, there's a chance that if you're using the Google Analytics pixel, that attribution is completely lost. Well, when I say lost, I mean it's given credit to desktop for closing the sale when mobile was really the one that introduced the user. So with the Google Ads pixel, cross-device conversions can be included in conversions. So the system can actually optimize for that. So be careful when you're doing these bid adjustments that you are on the Google Ads pixel. If not, I would stay away from it.
Right, they call that garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you're tracking incomplete data, then what the systems, the automation systems are going to do is also not going to be giving you the best results.
I like that. Yeah, trash inputs equal garbage outputs. Optmyzr smart bidding. So one of the most important things with smart bidding is, well, if you're going to use automation and tell Google, hey, I need this target return on ad spend for this campaign, or I need this CPA, you better make sure that those settings are correct. It's really one of the only inputs that you even do for bidding altogether. So make sure that that's correct. And to do that, Optmyzr has a tool. And here it is. So, you can scan your account with Optmyzr and see if there's opportunities, based on the impression share, the percentage, the percentage of time your ad shows when it was eligible to show. If it wasn't showing when it was eligible to show, there's a reason for that, and it might be a poor ad rank. Well, what are we going to do about a poor ad rank? Well, you can bid up to help your ad rank. That's what this tool is looking at, and that's what it can do for you across the board. So excellent, excellent tool. This is how Optmyzr has evolved with Google Ads and done it in a way that makes it so easy for the marketer.
Exactly. So you can look at this and say, hey, I should have a more aggressive target so that Google loses fewer of that impression share. Or you can say, hey, let's go back to the quality score tool and maybe something that requires a bit more effort, but is going to get you better results without necessarily additional cost. So this is really a monitoring system, right? Like, let Google automate because they are very good at it, but we should have human oversight and still know when we're potentially missing some opportunities, and then figure out strategically what is the action we want to take to fix that.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So, the classic question, why were my conversions down last week? So, not the easiest one to answer when you're a marketer. There's so many variables at play. But with the help of Optmyzr, we can get started on a root cause analysis. So, let's say that, in this example, you can see on the chart on your right that conversion value was down 40%. So why was that? It's going to show you all the variables that relate to that output that you're essentially looking at. So you can move down the chart and have an idea of what was going on and why that was. So, looking here, you can see that, impressions was down. Okay, well, why were impressions down? Well, the search impression share is slightly down. That's not it. You can nail down exactly what metric it was that may have had an effect on your conversion value. You can do this objectively, but remember that with a true root cause analysis, if you have a metric that's down, like conversion value, and you noticed it went down 7 days ago exactly. If you go and look at other metrics that also went down 7 days ago, it's likely that's not the root cause. The true root cause, when you're doing a root cause analysis, would be called like the true contributing factors, and then the actual root cause, maybe one before that cause all of those metrics to go down. So, use this as a guide, and then also look in your data and also exterior factors. Maybe there's extreme weather patterns or something that's happening as well. So use this as, it's an excellent guide to assist with analyzing and answering, why were my conversions down? Or up. Up would be a good situation you'd want to replicate. Next is automate. So I know, Fred is jumping in his seat over there because he's excited that this is the Optmyzr rule engine, and it's a really powerful tool that I'm bullish on, and I know Fred is big on it too. It essentially uses conditional logic with if-then scenarios to automate Google Ads. So there's a slight functionality of this in Google Ads where if your click-through rate is XYZ, then I'm going to pause these keywords. And then you can automate that and have that recurring. But with the rule engine, you can really dive into that. In the example here, with a third-party data source, if weather is down, or if it's raining in Boston for one of your campaigns, well, bids can be, you can automate bids based on that scenario. So very powerful tool. And Fred, you want to talk a little bit about the rule engine?
Yeah, and maybe I'll cover it in the demo, but we've recently put up some blog posts. We're starting a series to show the advanced capabilities in rule engine. So the first example was do some action like pausing or enabling campaigns or ad groups based on a holiday calendar. So based on whether it's a special date of some sort. And then the next one, we've already done a blog post on the bidding by weather, but we're redoing it, making the data a bit easier to understand. And this is really one of the advanced capabilities. You can also bring in your own business data like profit margins. So instead of bidding to conversion value, now you're actually bidding to make the most profit possible, which is probably what you really want to do, right? Google has this in-between goal of maximizing conversions or hitting a target CPA. But really what most businesses want is, hey, let's make profits, and we can actually get you there.
It's also a sneak peek. That's one of our top 3 tactics and strategy, that is reporting on profit. We're excited to see that in a minute. So here's the advanced tactics and strategies. Really 3 optimizations/strategies that, in my opinion, are the most important for the Google Ads marketer and the business running Google Ads. So first is reporting on profit. So actually having that as your North Star. That's the whole point of running your campaigns, right? To earn a profit after your gross margins are taken into consideration. Cross-channel marketing. So how are you utilizing Facebook remarketing on Google? How are you utilizing LinkedIn audiences on Google? Well, you can do that. So let's talk about how to do that. And then smart bidding for sale. So here AI is here. We're using it. We rely on it, but we also need to think about the fact when a sale comes through, we need to really change our settings and expectations. So first is reporting on profit. So really, here are the profit equations. So let's say, for instance, we're using the sales one, your B2C. So you can take your number of sales, multiply it by your AOV, your average order value, factor in your gross margins, profit margins, minus subtract your costs for Google Ads. There's your profit. On average, here's how much profit you're getting, and optimize toward that at the account level. So, down in the bottom right-hand corner, think about your funnel, you split it, and the top of the funnel is going to have different goals in the bottom. Your branded campaign, of course, is going to have a lower CPA than say your top of the funnel campaign. So look at profit at the account level, and then what campaigns are contributing to your profit and how. So really important there. And then also create that custom column, the upper right-hand corner there, so that you can actually see this in Google Ads and just track it. You can do this for subscriptions and leads as well. We'll send a deck through after so that you can obviously see these items. Next is the advanced remarketing. So in Google Analytics, go ahead and create a new audience. You click on traffic sources. And here's an example. Let's say that you're a B2B software company and you need to target people at a certain job title. Maybe it's director of marketing for your software. Well, how do you do that on Google Ads? Well, you kind of have to manipulate the user intent with keywords, but on LinkedIn, you can actually target those users. And then you can create a remarketing audience for people that have come through the source containing LinkedIn, if your LinkedIn ads are UTM tagged. And then, bam, you can put them into Google Ads and run them across the Google network. So make sure you're doing that. How much traffic do you have from Bing? How much do you have from Pinterest? Probably some, so take advantage of it. Last tactic here, lower your campaign expectations for sales. Essentially, decreasing your ROAS targets will make it easier for the algorithm to respond to accelerated sales volume. So the system responds quickly to changes during the holiday period. So if your shopping campaign has a 300% ROAS and the target ROAS is 300%, don't just up the budget for your sale day, lower the target return on ad spend, maybe down to 50%. so you can scale during those days. You know, it's all about inputs and outputs with smart bidding, and you need to make sure that for the sale day, you can't rely on it to learn that quickly, so you need to adjust.
Right, and the key point is don't lower your expectations, like increase your expectations, but the trick is you have to tell Google the opposite of what you expect, right? So you're still going to get the same ROAS, you're still going to get the same CPA, but you just have to give Google different targets because their machine learning system doesn't pick up that quickly on some of these short-term sales. And so that's what Tyler is saying. You kind of have to trick the Google system into doing what you need for those amazing expectations to be made true.
Yeah, really important to get the most out of your sale days. Just a tiny bit more here before Fred jumps into the demo, once we get through all the slides. Takeaways here, remember, monitor quality score, use it as a guiding metric, but just as that, use it to scale. So if you have keywords you know are performing well, dive into the quality score then, see what they are, see which aspect or component of the quality score you can improve. You know, layer in bid adjustments where applicable. You know, stay on top of your smart bidding settings with Optmyzr. You can streamline your root cause analysis, and then you know, with the rule engine, very powerful, endless possibilities you can do with the rule engine. So you know, start simple there, and then you know, get more advanced as you go. So there's maybe, you know, think about one thing that you do to automate your account and try to do it with the rule engine. Next, so we're talking about AI and all this, and great timing. Fred actually just published a book, Digital Marketing in an AI World. So Fred, you want to talk about your book and why it's a must read?
Yeah, no, it's some good summer reading here if you want to make sure you still have a job when you come back from vacation. But the fact is Google is automating so many capabilities that we used to do manually as account managers. And so sort of figuring out, well, what does that mean for my future? Like, how do I shift to a higher value add role? That's really what this book is about. So there's 3 sections. The first is about understanding why are things changing so quickly all of a sudden, and what are the machines really good at? Second portion is about what does that mean for ourselves as PPC professionals. So I equated to 3 roles that the PPC professional will play in the future. The role of the PPC doctor, the PPC pilot, and the PPC teacher. And then the last portion is a bit more agency specific, but you know, your clients are hearing, hey, everything's becoming automated. So why am I paying someone to manage my account when Google really automates it? There's actually very good reasons why you should have an agency, because there's a lot of stuff to monitor, and that's what that 3rd section is all about. So yeah, take a look at my book. It's on Amazon, and we have a couple of Kindle codes, so people, you know, maybe chat in the window that they'd like a copy. We'll hand out 2 codes here for the Kindle version at the end of the call.
Yeah, I read the book cover to cover, and I will not have a job in 2 years.
Tyler.
So if you want to get audited, just mention the first people that want an audit. You know, we can do that for you. I'll be using the Optmyzr tool as a supplement. Happy to do that for the first 3 people that say they want to get audited. We also have a poll here.
So this is basically your way to tell us if you want to follow up on any of the stuff we talked about or one of those free audits. So answer those polls right now. And then Tyler, I think we're going to switch over to the demo section here, right? That's
right. Yeah. As Fred mentioned, fill out the survey there. If you want a free consultation from Hawke Media in any aspect of your digital marketing, please fill out the survey. And without further ado, Fred's going to take us through the real deal here with Optmyzr.
Great. So I'm going to close up that poll. If anyone didn't get to respond and does want to reach out to us, just let us know over email. I am going to share my screen right now, which means that, Tyler, I'm going to take the presenter away from you. Give me 1 second here. Okay, here we go. So yeah, Tyler, thanks for sharing some of the strategy of how all of this works? Okay, I think I briefly lost everyone there. So thanks for sharing the strategy behind all of it. So now I want to go through some of the Optmyzr capabilities. So we actually had one question on SCAGs, and can we do SCAG in bulk to put multiple keywords into single keyword ad groups? So the way it works is on the quality score tracker tool, you will have to go into the keyword section right here, and then there's this little button here that says SCAG this as a keyword and move it into its own ad group. We do have a multi-SCAG capability that lives on one of our keyword tools. The keyword lasso right here. So you can take multiple of the keyword suggestions and send them each into their own individual single keyword ad groups. So that's a bulk capability we have right there. As far as the quality score tool, so kind of what's cool here, like Tyler was saying, is that it's just an easier way to see what's going on than what Google shows you. So for example, here you can take a look at from last week to this week, are there any keywords that have had a particularly big change in quality score? That'd be relatively hard to do in Google. You can also change the state range right there. You can also get some more information. So Tyler was saying how, yeah, you have a keyword, but really what matters is what are the queries against that. So we have a more detailed view here. So we can show you exactly what are the search terms that were showing up against some of these keywords right there. So that's what the quality score tool will enable you to do. Okay, and then there's a summary page. So at the bottom of the summary page, this is a recommendation of which ad groups are most in need of an optimization. And that's a combination of cost and quality score, right? So this is below average quality score, a huge amount of cost. It's not the worst quality score, but given that it has so much cost, this would be the best place to start optimizing. And then maybe you go to that other place which has a much worse quality score, but not quite spending as much money. So that's what the quality score tool is going to help you do. The next tool that Tyler was talking about was about auditing, right? So doing 50 audits quickly across your whole account. So we start everyone off with one audit that we've already pre-built. So you can load that up and then you can see what are the things we will be checking. So there's a fairly long list here of things that we check for. So for example, we can look for that your account CTR is at a minimum level. So for example, if you do Google Grants ads, this is a requirement, so that is easy to audit. We can also take a look at ad groups that don't have enough keywords, too few expanded text ads, too many keywords, etc. You can always change these by clicking here and setting that number to whatever you need it to be. And then from here, you can schedule this, so it'll run once a week or put it on your own schedule. And if you run it, you will get both an overview that says this is your score and these are the specific issues. And that comes with a downloadable Excel file. And for each of the things that we're auditing, there's a tab. So it's literally a to-do list that says, okay, well, maybe you have 50 ad groups that have too many keywords, and here's the list. And then you can just go through it and tackle each of the problems one by one. And the beauty of this is you can create your own audit. So you can have multiple audits within your account, one for big accounts, one for small accounts, different ones for e-commerce versus lead gen. And so put in as many as you need, and then you can leverage those same audits against the many accounts that you may be managing. So that's auditing capabilities. And then Tyler was talking about bid adjustments, right? So if you're not using automated bidding and you want to set some of these bid adjustments yourselves, I've loaded up one here, which is the Geo Bid Adjustment tool. By default, we use an intelligent suggest mode. This is using machine learning from Optmyzr. And we show you a table, and this is kind of cool, right? Because it says, well, if we were to increase the cost 10% by setting bid adjustments, we predict we could get about 25% more conversions in this account. And your cost per conversion would be down 12%. And so you can choose on this table kind of like what is your sweet spot. You can click on that, and then it says, okay, well, here's the bid adjustments that we would set based on what you're allowing us to do. So you can still review these, and then if you're happy with it, it is a one-click optimization. So you hit that button, and all of these changes will be pushed live in the system. And so we have similar capabilities for devices, for audiences, and in this case, I'm showing it for geo bid adjustments. One thing a lot of people do miss is we have a rule-based approach as well. So this is something that you can build yourself. But if you had like a target cost per conversion, you can choose this. You can tell us what is your target cost per conversion. So let's say $20. And then from here, we can compute the suggestions. Okay, and so sometimes we don't have a lot of suggestions, so you can play with these settings, but you can tweak that as you see fit. Okay, so and these rules are also fully customizable. So this is basically the rule engine brought for geo bit adjustments, device bit adjustments, etc. Right here. Okay, the next thing I want to show you that Tyler was also covering was the PPC investigator. So one thing is obviously you can change the question. So you might ask, why were my conversions last month different from the same period of the last year? You can ask that question, very quickly get the answer. You can also change your campaign scope. You can do this analysis very easily just for mobile traffic, for different networks. Just change the options in here, update it, and you quickly get the new answer. Now, we can also dive deeper, right? So conversions were down 6%. Let's do a root cause analysis, because it's interesting to know that a decline in conversions was actually driven in this case by a decline in clicks. Conversion rate was actually up, and we had fewer clicks despite having more impressions. So actually the CTR was kind of a problem with these new impressions. But let's figure out specifically, are there certain campaigns or keywords that have been responsible for this change in conversion? So you can click on that little icon right there, and so we tell you now exactly which elements of the account have had positive or negative changes for the metric that you were looking at. So this is allowing you to drill down and find those specific components where you can go in and make fixes to the account. So that is one part of the analysis. Now, something that Tyler didn't cover, and that's brand new in our system, is we've updated the performance comparison data insight. So that's right here. And so this tool has existed for a while, but we just added a segmentation capability. So if you're looking at a week over week change in performance for this account, we've done the comparison. Now you can also segment this down, and you can say, well, show me specifically the different campaigns and how they're performing. And then we can sort this by absolute change. So we can see that this specific campaign has had quite a few lost impressions between the week before and the current week. So a lot more capabilities there in terms of drilling down very quickly into the account and understanding exactly what is moving the needle. So that's the performance comparison tool. And then you can also use the rule engine. So Tyler was using the rule engine to do something really sophisticated like bid by weather, but it does get much more simple than that as well. So for example, I wanted to find search queries that I used to get a lot of volume for, but that maybe have a little bit less volume nowadays. So what I did is I constructed some logic around that. So I said, well, if my impressions last week were greater than my impressions the week after, then I want to get a list of that, right? So I can build my own conditions with multiple date ranges. I can decide if it's just a report or if I want to change bids or pause or enable things. And then the output from that comes back as a sheet like this. So you can see specific search terms and the impressions the previous week and the most recent week. And so you can see that all of these have had some sort of decline. And then, of course, we can now take this and we can go deeper investigation to understand what is moving the needle on all of this. So that's a quick demo of all of those capabilities. If anyone is interested, we can certainly give you a one-on-one demo using your own data in your own account. But with that, we'll open it up to questions and we'll go take a look at what people want to know more about. All right, so the questions right here. So yeah, we had the question about doing multiple SCAGs. So I'm going to show that again. And if any other folks have questions, please put them in the questions field. But so for keywords, you can go into the keyword lasso. This is going to give you keyword suggestions based on search terms data in the account. On this page, you can multi-select the keywords that you would like to add. So here we've got 6 keywords we're going to add to the account. There's a SCAG capability right there. So we can set it to the current campaign, give a little bit of a template for how the ad group naming convention should be. We put that in here, and so with a single additional click right there, I would actually be making 6 single keyword ad groups, and they would all have a single keyword, obviously. They would also have ad text already put in from the originating ad groups before. So that's a very quick way to kind of deploy that alpha beta structure that Tyler was talking about. All right. Let's see. Yes, I think that's all the questions. So we do have Tyler on the call. Tyler runs an agency, so I think it's always fascinating to ask agencies how to use the tools and what they're seeing the most success with. So we are going to stick around for anyone who wants to ask a couple of follow-up questions. We're also happy to take those questions over email. I am going to turn off the recording, so anything we say after this is going to be between us and the people who stay on the call. But Tyler,